One of the foremost Japanese supergroups of the late 70s and early 80s was the Yellow Magic Orchestra, comprised primarily of three players who all had big careers outside the band, two of whom had been veterans in the industry, and one who was a relative newcomer, Ryuichi Sakamoto, but he would ultimately go on to have like the biggest post YMO career, and while the band was still active, he was putting out solo material. And in 1981, at the peak of YMO's popularity and reach, he put out his third solo album, Left-Handed Dream, which came out in a couple different versions. And he also put out like an EP with Robin Scott and Adrian Belew. And some of the tracks from that were combined onto the US version of Left-Handed Dream, one of which was the track Arrangement with a beautiful vocal by Robin Scott, aka M, of pop music fame. And so, without further ado, the arrangement. Notice that really deep tone of his voice in this one. Against that really slow, like open cadence and the kind of fuzzy, sort of furry sustains of the synths.
A strangled love, a blood-stained dove, arrangements have been made.
Notice that melody. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Some interesting lyrics have just passed us by. While deep in sleep, my brain still weeps. Arrangements have been made. A strangled love, a blood-stained dove. Arrangements have been made.
I see clearly sometimes, and my dear, you will be waiting for me, waiting for me. I see clearly now, and never fear, I will be waiting for you, waiting for you.
That vocal melody on the chorus, just the angle of it, I see clearly sometimes, and my dear, you will be waiting for me. I see clearly now, and never fear, I will be waiting for you. His vocals kind of resemble some of the more ballady tones of Peter Murphy on this track. Not a quality that I noticed on any of the M albums, really. He's really showing a different side of himself here.
The picture exploded in my mind. Perhaps now I could find.
It's somewhat like he's romantic yet detached at the same time, I mean, because these lyrics don't seem like they're heading towards anything really happy or amorous, but yeah, I could definitely I don't know. I can't say that I have a whole lot of insight into the female mind, but I can imagine a lot of women who have been into this kind of music over the years, I would imagine this may have been one of the more, let's say, touching experiences, his vocals in this track.
The picture led me to a green, a meeting place in days of yore, and such a place I'd never seen.
Now he's broken the fourth wall. He's giving us kind of a soliloquy, and is completely changed tone.
Yet lived in it before. A strange procession gathered there. A juggler spoke, a poet tumbled. I looked and saw you everywhere.
I think this might tell us more about what's going on. The picture exploded in my mind, perhaps now I could find. The picture led me to a green, a meeting place in days of yore. And such a place I'd never seen, yet lived in it before, so this guy's kind of having like a past life regression in a dream. A strange procession gathered there. A juggler spoke, a poet tumbled. I looked and saw you everywhere. The crowd moved on and seemed to mumble. Huh. Maybe the clues of his current romantic confusion, the answers could be found in some experience he had in the past life, or in a dream.
The crowd moved on and seemed to mumble. Arrangements have been made, and will run forever. And we've learned together, understand together. I reach your home, you're there alone. Arrangements have been made. I see your face stares into space. Arrangements have been made.
Screaming in the background. Gotta take a minute to appreciate the precision and the various details that have gone into it. That little clicking percussive sound that's guiding the pace of it all amid the like sustained, fuzzy tones that guide it, and also some of the rather beautiful chordal areas that this song rests upon for most of it. I think there's some major sevenths in this. I think that's part of it, makes it compelling and unique for albums like this anyway, because it brings kind of more of a romantic musical element, even if the lyrics aren't all that romantic, or much more surreal and oblique.
You seem to breathe, but not like me. Arrangements have been made.
Do I hear a little bit of guitar that like a little bit of maybe like a slight faint ebow mixed in there?
I see clearly sometimes, and my dear, you will be waiting for me, waiting for me. I see clearly now and never fear, I will be waiting for you, waiting for you. The picture slowly fades to brown.
There's, I believe, some F major 7 in there, and like it was going like F major 7 to E minor earlier, and now it just right now it was going like A minor to.
There's nothing left now but
Yeah, A minor to F.
this deadly town. While deep in sleep, my brain still weeps. Arrangements have been made. A strangled love, a blood-stained dove. Arrangements have been made. Arrangements have been made.
The rhythmic component is actually quite unique if you take it apart. If you just isolate it and pay attention to it, it's not very intuitive. There's a lot more detail that you might take advantage of if you're just caught up in the ebb and flow, the sonic ebb and flow of it all, and the vocals. But And there's that kind of crickety sound. And those other little sounds that are kind of keeping pace, those like dropping sounds, those. I was trying to avoid that part where I was trying to imagine the response that some women may have had to his vocals in the song. This is, let's just say that this is a PG channel, but I would imagine that some women perhaps got a bit warm down there hearing that vocals, because he puts across a real deep tonality, a deep romantic tonality, and it's the likes of a certain character that I don't often hear in a lot of music. And of course, knowing that Peter Murphy, which this kind of reminded me of, has long been considered sort of a sex symbol in certain quarters. Yeah, you kind of know where my train of thought's going there. Yeah, Ryuichi Sakamoto with Robin Scott on vocals, the track arrangement from the 1981-82 album Left-Handed Dream, also featuring some instrumental contributions from Adrian Belew, and a bunch of other people on here on sundry instrumentation, and including the core of YMO, Haruomi Hosono, and Yukihiro Takahashi, and some other people who've been in the periphery of the band. And also Robin Scott's wife, I believe, was heard. The female backing vocals we heard toward the middle, like on the second chorus and during the middle eight in some places. Bridget Novick, yeah, who can also be seen in the video to Pop Music. She has the headphones on and is playing in the. Yeah, interesting career Robin Scott had. He gets mentioned early on in the book England's Dreaming, John Savage's book on the punk era in the UK. In the sequence, in the chapters that deal with Malcolm McLaren's life at art school during the 60s, a young Robin Scott was part of Malcolm McLaren's inner circle, just around the time that him and Vivienne Westwood were first becoming involved. And Robin Scott, and of course what they don't mention in that book is that Robin Scott was already a musician at that time. In 1969, he recorded a folk rock album. He kind of emerged sort of in a similar vein to what Nick Drake was doing at the time, that whole wave of singer-songwriters that were coming. Yeah, Woman from the Warm Grass. Yeah. Yeah, him and a few others Nick Drake, Jimmy Campbell, yeah, Gary Farr, all these kind of names that escape me right when I need them most. But luckily, the same year that Gary Farr put out Take Something With You. Yeah, 1969 being this big year of solo folkies in the UK after solo artists making their comeback in the UK after several years of a real combo happy scene. Because when the Beatles came out, solo artists and solo male crooners were completely out of style. You had to be in a band. And the name had to have "the" in front. and until like Donovan came along, the first Brave Soul, and then he inspired some other males to come out on their own. And by 1969, the solo thing was in full flight again, competing with the bands. And then Robin Scott wouldn't do any more music until 1979, a full 10 years, when he would reinvent himself under the Phantom persona M, and scored an amazing unexpected hit with pop music, which actually made it to number one in the US, believe it or not, for 1 week. And then would record 2 more albums under the M moniker. He was just about nearing the end of that, right around the time he did this, and after like 1982, I don't think he really did much. Went into other mediums, I guess. Of course, Ryuichi Sakamoto, this was just the springtime of his career. He had a lot ahead of him. YMO had a couple more albums and quite a bit more success, and then his solo career, and he as a solo artist would experience even more greater things beyond that. Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence soundtrack, Esperanto, and his late 80s output, Neo Geo, and all that. Yeah, just working in all these different musical veins, working with other talent from the international scene, David Sylvian, Bill Nelson, the like. Wow, some real crazy stuff is going on in the court below my apartment. Luckily, I'm on the 5th floor, but I can't believe... Oh my God. I feel like I should get off and maybe call the police. Until next time, for more rubies and sapphires from the catalog of Ryuichi Sakamoto, see the directory of albums by Japanese artists linked in the description below. Like and subscribe, and follow me on social media, and leave a comment if there are any observations you have about this particular song that you would like to add. And until next time, this is Zaragon, the world's most ear travel trimaximalist, signing off.